Hey, welcome back to the channel. So last week I did a video on using a 2012 MacBook Pro in 2022. In that video, I mentioned that a way to get around some of the limitations is to install Monterey, and that's what we're going to be looking at today. We're going to look at Monterey running on a 2012 MacBook Pro. Now, before we get started, this is not a tutorial video. There's already a ton of videos on that, and I will link down in the description to the guide that I used. It's on the Opencore Legacy Patcher site. I just followed it step by step, had no problems. I'm not planning on doing a tutorial video, but if enough of you want to see that, I do my videos for you. So just let me know down in the comment section if you want me to do a step by step on how I got Monterey installed on this machine. Okay, so let's go over the specs real quick. This is a 13-inch 2012 MacBook Pro. It's got a dual-core i5 processor. I upgraded the RAM to 16 gigs of RAM, and I upgraded the storage. It currently has a 500 gig SSD drive in there. The video card on this is just the integrated Intel HD 4000 video card. This machine is not officially supported for Monterey. The latest operating system that is officially supported for this machine is Catalina, but with the Opencore Legacy Patcher, you can go through those steps, make an installer, install it on this machine just like you would with any other macOS version, and it runs great. As far as the functionality of the computer, everything works great with Monterey. The Wi-Fi works. It's been very solid, connected right up to my Wi-Fi networks, hasn't had any dropouts. The Ethernet jack works. In fact, all the ports work. I haven't tried the FireWire port out because I don't have any FireWire devices, but the two USB ports work, the headphone jack, the mini display port, of course, the MagSafe, and like I mentioned, the Ethernet jack all work flawlessly, and the camera works too. I've read a lot of issues with some machines with the older legacy patchers, and this one doesn't have that issue. The camera works great, works fine in FaceTime. I've been really happy with this. This thing even works with Sidecar using your iPad as an external display. Now, it doesn't work over Wi-Fi. It just comes up with a black screen on the iPad. The MacBook Pro thinks that the display is connected, but the iPad is just black and you can't move anything over to it. But if you hook it up by a USB-C cable, that works fine. You can use that as an external monitor. There is a little bit of an issue where it's a little bit glitchy. It kind of flashes a little bit every once in a while, but other than that, it works fine. There may be a way to fix that. I didn't mess with the settings too much, but at core functionality, it does work. One thing that's a problem with older versions of macOS, and this machine is only officially supported on Catalina, is that a lot of the Apple software will no longer work unless you have Big Sur or above. Now, you can go out and find older versions, but if you want the latest and greatest version, you're going to have to upgrade that operating system, and that's one of the reasons why you might want to do this. Upgrading it to Monterey and then going out to the App Store or downloading like the Final Cut Pro trial, everything works great. I was getting a message that it can only be installed on Big Sur and above, but no message at all because it doesn't care about the machine. It cares about the operating system. So I was able to download Final Cut Pro and GarageBand, and I just did Pages just to see if it would complain. It didn't. Everything installed and works just fine. So that kind of leads me into the next thing I want to talk about, and that's media creation and specifically video editing. And upgrading to Monterey improves the machine in that area because now we can once again download Final Cut Pro. Now, we could always download and run DaVinci Resolve, which runs okay on these machines. If you're doing a 1080p timeline, totally fine, not an issue. If you want to do 4K, you got to kind of keep it super simple or make proxy files. But with Final Cut Pro, we can edit 4K directly without making proxy files. Now, it does slow down at times, especially if you're doing multiple layers or color correction with a bunch of transitions. You're going to have to wait for it to kind of cache in the background. But once it does, it's completely smooth and you can easily edit a full video, especially if you're doing like YouTube and you're doing kind of 5-minute, 10-minute videos here and there. It's totally fine for that. And if you stick with 1080p, it's absolutely fine. You won't have an issue at all. But it's just so nice that we can download Final Cut Pro now with the optimization for Mac hardware that's built into that software. And it's amazing how well it works on this 10-year-old machine. Now, another thing that I like to mess with a little bit is GarageBand, which I couldn't install on Catalina because, you know, you needed at least Big Sur to get the newest version, but I installed it just fine on this. I just do some basic like sequencing and record audio in, and I use the, you know, amp simulations. I play a little guitar, and that all works great on this machine. I was able to download it from the App Store. It's free, installed, works perfectly, and no issues there. So I've been really happy with that as well. As far as the gaming performance, it didn't really change it at all. It's kind of the same if you're playing 2D or very simplistic games. It works fine on this machine. If you want to do like 3D games and stuff, it's not going to work so great. You can play like Minecraft and things like that, but more intensive things, you might be able to use an external GPU. I have not tried the external GPU with Monterey. I can do that. If you want to see a video on that, let me know in the comment section and I'll do some testing and put that together for you. But going from like Catalina to Monterey hasn't changed the gaming experience at all on this machine. It's kind of what you would expect on a 10-year-old machine with integrated graphics. Also, the day-to-day performance has not really changed at all. It works fantastic before Monterey and after Monterey, just for browsing the web, basic computer tasks, email, stuff like that, social media. It works totally fine for that either way. So if you're just using this as a regular, just basic machine, there's really no point in going through these steps to upgrade to Monterey. Just stick with Catalina. It works just as well. Another thing I haven't really noticed a change in is battery life. It is basically the same on Catalina as it is on Monterey. I'm not going to tell you what those times are because these are 10-year-old machines. Chances are your battery is not going to be in the best shape. So whatever number I tell you, you're probably not going to get those same numbers. But just keep in mind that upgrading to Monterey doesn't improve that battery life, at least not what I saw on my machine. So honestly, there's not a whole lot more to say. Upgrading to Monterey is relatively easy and it works great on these computers. If you're running into issues running Catalina or an older Mac OS on your 2012 MacBook Pro, feel free to upgrade. It's not going to cost you anything. It's relatively easy. Again, I'll link to the guide or I'll do a video if you really want to see that and just reap the benefits of the newest Mac OS. Thanks so much for watching. If you found this useful or informative, make sure you hit that thumbs up or subscribe if you really liked it. If you have any questions or comments on anything in the video, leave those down in the comment section below. Thanks for stopping by and I'll see you in the next video.